So I'm really not sure how it happened. I guess it's just because I put enough videos out there and talked about it enough, but people seem to think that I'm a ketogenic diet advocate, um, and the truth is I'm not. So the reason I put out the ketogenic diet videos was because I wanted to know about ketogenic diets, and there was nothing out there. Everything that I found was awful, and it was very low quality. The information was mostly incorrect. And so I made my own videos because I figured, well, I can't be the only person who's trying to research this stuff. And so I figured if I'm going to put the time in to learn about this, then I'm going to put the time in to let other people learn about it too. And that's the only reason why I did the ketogenic diet videos. Um, I'm a big believer in doing whatever diet works for you. And so I don't even care if it's a vegan diet. If that works for you, go for it. If you want to eat an all meat diet, if that works for you and you feel good, do it. Same thing goes for high carb or low carb or whatever diet you want to do. If it works for you, if you feel good and your blood works good and you're not having any health problems, no digestive problems, then keep doing it. Um, so what I wanted to hit on real quick here is everyone's trying to lean out and get abs and stuff like that. And there was recently a study. They actually compared, low carb diets and low fat diets, and they produced all this data and explained how, actually, I guess the low fat diet actually ended up losing more fat. But the thing is, and this is where I want to touch on, it really doesn't matter. It does not matter. You can look at that study and take it however you like, but the reality of it is, what it really matters is what can you actually adhere to? What can you sustain? So even if a low fat, high carb diet was the best diet for losing fat, the reality of it is, if you can't stick to it, if you have to have cheat meals, if you don't feel well, if you're having digestive problems, whatever, then it's the wrong diet for you, you know? And the same thing goes if you're doing a ketogenic diet. If you're doing a ketogenic diet and, oh, you're losing fat and all this stuff like that, that's great. But let's say, you start developing IBS, or, I don't know, you start having acid reflux or anything like that, then ditch the diet. Okay, and if you find you can't stick to a ketogenic diet because you keep cheating on the diet because your favorite food is ice cream or something like that, and so you can't stick to the diet, then ditch the diet. What the most important thing is that you find a diet you can actually adhere to. People ask me, oh, well, what do you like to have for cheat meals and stuff like that? I've never had cheat meal, ever. Not once. But see, people will take that as like some weird, like I'm a food Nazi or something, like I'm orthorexic. Oh man, he never eats cheat meals. No, I don't eat cheat meals because I don't believe that there are good and bad foods. There's no such thing as a cheat food. So if I want to have ice cream, it's not a cheat meal. It's just I'm having ice cream. If I want to have pizza and I don't care, potato chips, it, it's not a cheat meal because there are no good and bad foods. There are no cheat foods. So I've never had a cheat meal because there are no cheat foods, just as there are no good and bad foods. And that's really the only point I wanted to touch on here. People are all concerned about, oh, well, this is a cheat meal, or, can I have these carb ups, or I'm going to do carb night. And so I'm going to be super strict for 6 days, and then on the seventh day, I'm just going to binge. No. If you can't adhere to a diet, if you find yourself craving other foods, if you find yourself cheating on the diet all the time, find a new diet. If you need to cheat, then the diet is broken. You need to find a different diet. Find a diet that you don't feel the need to cheat on. Find a diet that you don't feel deprived on. And that was one of the big things I point out to people too, is that if you feel the need to cheat, like if you're binging and stuff like that, you're probably eating too low. Your calories are so low that now you're having these cravings. Eat enough to be satisfied. You don't have to eat enough to be full. Eat enough to not be hungry. Eat enough to be satisfied. You don't have to stuff yourself. And you're going to make progress. If you find a diet that works and you can adhere to it, you're going to make progress. It doesn't matter if it's high fat. Doesn't matter if it's low fat. Doesn't matter if it's high protein or low protein even. People do diets that have very little protein in them, and they stick to them. I have friends who are vegans that eat very, very little protein, and they feel fine on the diet because they're eating adequate amounts of calories. Even though they're eating a high carb diet, it doesn't harm them because they're eating enough. They're not starving themselves. And that's really the big thing. I point that out to people all the time. When you see diets that people are having health problems on, it tends to be because people are just they're overdoing their diet. So, oh, I did a ketogenic diet and I felt terrible. Well, how many calories a day were you eating? Oh, I was eating about 1,400. Yeah, but you're 6'2" and you weigh 220 pounds. That's way too low. That's why you felt awful. You felt awful because you're under eating, so you don't have enough energy because you're essentially starving yourself. So that's what I want to touch on with you guys. I just wanted people to be really clear. You know, just because I did a few videos talking about ketogenic diets doesn't mean that I'm a ketogenic diet advocate or an expert or anything like that. I believe in following whatever diet fits your needs and whatever diet fits your life and whatever you can adhere to. Whatever you feel good on, do it.